Well, welcome to the Complete Nonsense Podcast. I want to pre-apologize for anything that we may say that may piss you off or offend you. If it does, please call your friends, tell them to get on, and listen to what these fucking idiots are saying. Comment, hit that subscribe. We want to hear your opinion, but not really. We need the money. Let's begin.
We're back with a special episode of Complete Nonsense.
We're not doing any music. Is that we're going dry?
You like that?
I guess if I have to. Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I like it if that's what you're giving me.
Yeah. That's what you
Okay.
got.
Well, why do we lose the music?
You didn't hear any music there?
No, but that's okay. I didn't need to hear. No. Oh, you forgot the music?
Oh man.
Look at this. Well, I welcome back everybody. We're gonna call this one. What are we calling this one, Sherpa? 53 and a half?
Yeah, 53 and a half works.
53 and a half. And you know, it's a little interesting because if you can see, it's right now it's only me and we have a special guest with us, Maureen. I want to introduce Maureen Ryza. Is that correct?
That is correct.
How are you, love, tonight?
I'm good. I'm great. How are you doing today?
I'm well, thank you. So you'll notice that Dees took the day off from us. We offered him to come in, but he said that he didn't want to. He knew it was going to be an eyeglass interview, which we're going to get to very shortly. And he decided to bounce out because he felt that he wasn't going to be able to say the things that Dees likes to say. But I told him, Sherpa, that he was more than welcome to come in.
It'll be good either way.
Yeah,
it's a little quieter.
It's definitely it'll feel a little lonelier, but I'm sure Maureen can take that up, and you'll chime in like you always do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yes, as Sherpa just said, this is a special episode. We're going to call it 53 and a half. As I just introduced Maureen, I was very excited one day when I was given or read an email. And everybody knows that I've been in the eyeglass industry for 34 years. This is my 35th year. I've owned 2 retail stores, AZYR Optical and AR Trap, one in New York City, one in Chicago. I am associated with 3 factories. One is in Italy, one is in the UK, and one is now proudly in the United States of America. So we're real excited about that. I knew it was coming. Oh, yeah, there you go. Thank you. We love it.
That was for America.
I hope so.
Coming up 4th of July.
I expected that. And so just to catch you all up, podcast line. So one day I was going through my emails as kind of a lie because I go through one of my employees' emails and I see this email from this young lady, Maureen Ryza, as I just introduced, and she is with AZYR Specs. How are you today, Maureen?
I'm good.
Good.
I'm happy to be here.
Good. I'm sorry. Say that again.
I said I'm happy to be here.
And we are glad that you're here. And Maureen had, and you can jump in at any time and correct me if I'm wrong, Maureen, but you were looking for a retro spec that you had seen, or you were looking to see if it was a piece of eyewear that Anglo American had done. Is that?
I had come across a vintage frame, and I was reaching out to get the exact origin of when it came from.
That's correct. Right. Okay. That refreshes it.
I figured I would go straight to the source to identify the year.
Perfect. And if I remember correctly, it was one of ours from a very long time ago. And
yes.
And you and I got to start talking, and I appreciate you were very excited about Anglo American and the history of it. The thing about Anglo American is that we have a very long history, and I am always very impressed and excited by companies like yourselves, AZYR Specs, that you guys do vintage eyewear. You go out and source the vintage eyewear. You have to refurbish the eyewear. You cannot, most of the time, get parts for this kind of stuff. Most of the time, you cannot even, most of the original manufacturers are probably out of business, right? Depending how old it is. And it's a very certain select breed of retailers, if you don't mind me saying that about yourself, or wholesaler, if you will, that you go out and find these things, you source these things, and then you put them back on the shelves and resell them. How did you get into that?
Well, I think it makes it all the more fun is finding these things that don't exist anymore, people wouldn't think of, and bringing them back to life. I got into it because my background is in costume. So I was working on a film set based in 1975, and I was doing the costumes for the characters. I am immersed day in to day out in the decade of 1970s. And I saw that the power of eyewear held to transform a character from just hanging out to like turning heads.
Amazing.
But it turned out that most of these glasses the people were wearing were prescription and no one could actually see. They were just props. After we used them for the film, they'd go back in the box and they'd go away until the next time.
Sure. Interesting enough that you say that. One of the things that I love about, again, how I got into Anglo, and we'll get into that in a couple of minutes, but we dealt with a company for years called Starry Eyes. I don't know if you've heard of them or familiar with them. They have sets. They have blocks, if you will, what they used to call them. And again, correct me if I'm wrong nowadays. This is a very long time ago, and it was for a very long time. He would have set up booths at all of the studios in California. And we supplied them eyewear. So I would send them out trays and trays of eyewear. One of the earliest, I came into Anglo around 94. I mean, again, you got to go 35 years back. It's late. My math is off, right? So one of the earliest eyeglasses that I recall being in one of the movies with us, and everybody can look it up because it's still in the Superman in the Metro. It's in Metropolis in Illinois. Is a Superman museum. Christopher Reeve wore our 132 in all the original movies. So you saying that, it really brings me back to the fact that Anglo used to, and I used to go out, and his name was Michael, and I used to go out to California every couple of months, and we would resupply him with all the frames. And he would buy the frames. We would set him up on consignment. Then when the frame got used for a movie or something to that effect, it would get purchased and used, and we would really just replenish it. So that's how, for us, most of the eyewear that's around, that's in the movies, which is ours, I would say probably at this point, 80% of the stuff that we see out there in terms of the traditional men's eyewear is mostly Anglo-American. We're blessed by that. But I can, again, as we get into what I've done, I can give you names of the guys who wear my eyewear. Some of them even called my office. It was ridiculous. But, that's extremely interesting that they use them as props, and some of them fall in love with them and wear them, i.e. Johnny Depp, Harvey Keitel, those kind of guys.
I was going to say it's interesting. Since I've been doing this, you can see how, like you were saying, so many of these frames were used in movies. People will see a specific style, like a thin black and it's Matrix automatically, or like really small and round is John Lennon. And like a lot of glasses styles now are associated with a certain person and a certain time. And that's why I think vintage is so fun, because there's so many styles that haven't particularly been claimed yet.
Sure.
So a way to be expressive.
And when you do you not find it difficult in the realm of, first of all, I know there's a lot out there, but do you find it difficult for yourself with what your business does that you have to go try and find all those? And when you do find them, second part of that question is, isn't it expensive for you to purchase that stuff because they are one of a kinds to turn around and resell them?
Honestly, the world opened up so much when I started doing this in ways that I couldn't even imagine. I started with eBay, and then it turned into talking with people more, and they have these large collections that they don't know what to do with. Sure. And so then I go and, they want to get rid of all of it. I care a lot about the sustainable aspect. So what someone else thinks is trash, I'm confident I can do something with it. And then in the same breath, people, I know in America, I don't know what we do with the glasses as collections come and go, but in other countries, a lot of them just hold on to them and they get thrown in the back room. And so now there's all these dead stock glasses that exist and are waiting
to be claimed by you, Maureen. You bring me to a point there. Let's let's call what it is. The only reason now, Maureen, you look very young and you look like an entrepreneur, and I love it. You were not around, I'm sure, the days when that all changed, because in the industry when I came in, there were, and I'm not 100 years old. They all know that, right? But at the end of the day, Luxottica, and I will call them out, they were the ones who decided to let their reps take everything back. Back in the day when I started, there was no taking merchandise back. What the opticians purchased, okay? Now go back a bit in the industry. When it first started with exams, those doctors did not carry eyewear, right? So the doctor did the exam and they sent them next door or up the block to a dispensing optician to sell them the frame and lenses. So once the doctors start to realize how much money was in the frames, they decide to open dispensaries themselves. And that was a big change. Now, all of a sudden, Luxottica comes along, starts gobbling up all these names. And believe you me, again, I know the ins and outs of all of these factories, again, being blessed by doing what we've been doing for a long time. Within all the manufacturing, I've seen all the factories. I've been blessed to go around the world and see them all. And at the end of the day, Luxottica is the one that changed that game. If they did not allow the reps to go in there, and because they wanted the wall space, they started to say, don't worry, put in 200 pieces. We will take that back if you do not sell it. So you have to do 100 Ray-Ban, you have to do 100 Calvin Klein. Luxottica was starting their empire to take over the stores that they right now own, right? Think about how many stores Luxottica owns on top of how many brands they own, and then all the labs that they own. So now they've become a self-sustained unit. They are the biggest monopoly in the business world, and I'm not bitter about it. I'm not. Anglo American is the low end of high end. I love flying under that radar. I love not having to worry about that stuff. People that bring in my stuff, I tell them if they want to send something back, they're welcome to. But I do not require minimums. I do not require them to have my reps harp on them. I require them to try and sell the stuff. I do not want dead stock, because you know what dead stock does? It makes people turn off from the company. Luxottica can get away with that, right? Well, the rest of us can't. So do you put a bunch of stock in when you find a store? I know you are located personally in Lower Manhattan, and I know you do. You said you have people come up by appointment only. They have to email info@AZYRSpecs.com. Did I say that right again?
Yes.
Sherpa, I'm killing it. Dude, I thought for sure. I was going to fuck that up at least once. Oh, Maureen said don't curse too much. I'm sorry. Every once in a while on Complete Nonsense we curse.
It's okay. It's AZYR Specs. AZYR SPECS.
Oh, I was going to spell it out for you, but okay. So you did that.
And I do appointments by email. Instagram we're very active on too.
Okay. Oh, I've seen that on Instagram. Yep, that was great. Yeah, you do have a ton of frames on Instagram. It's super cool. Yeah. I love seeing what you're doing, and I'm an entrepreneur first, and I hope that you're absolutely killing it. How long have you been in business?
3 years.
Good for you. 3 years. And what kind of inventory do you hold right now?
Right now, I have about 700 frames.
700 frames. That's fantastic. And do you also do the lenses?
I do.
Okay.
I work with different opticians. I work with a factory in Denver.
Okay.
I have an optician here in Chinatown. Mm-hmm. And we do colored lenses, polarized, prescription.
Nice. So are you, sorry, I'm not going to get technical on you, but I'm going to try and I'm going to give you a little technical. When you're doing like bifocals and stuff, are you just like, winging it in terms of half and dropping it or raising it a millimeter and all that? Or are you just sticking with single vision and things like that?
I actually have only had to do one progressive, but I have a little tool, so I took their seg height and PD.
Oh, from FaceTime?
No, it was in person. So also in New York, I do a lot of pop-ups here and there.
Perfect. That's, I got to tell you something, Maureen, I'm going to give you the floor to dive into Anglo American. I have been doing lenses and frames for the last 15, 20 years online. I got to tell you, we'll get off air and even on air, I will tell you all the secrets. I do progressives all day long. I don't see anybody. There's nothing better than doing a progressive online where I don't have to listen to anybody. There is nothing better than just telling somebody over the phone on the, I have 4 people in office that work with me here, and I have, probably, I want to say, coming and going anywhere from 40 to 50 people out in these factories and the labs and all that stuff, right? And again, I don't pretend to own all of the labs and all that, I'm partners and all of that stuff, right? But again, we employ them because we pay the bills by us doing the work, right? It is just so nice not having to be in my retail store, because we did that for 25 years, and listening to some of the people complain and this and that, and it's just nature of the beast. Nowhere in Sherpa, when I tell you, no, I'm speaking specifically to you, because Maureen is with me out in the eyeglass world. You can't go into a store. You can't go. Sherpa's a big surfer. You can't go into Ron John Surf Shop and say, I really like that shirt, right? It's $49.99. Well, let me give you $39.99. In the eyeglass world, they all fucking do it. What my store in Chicago, I don't know if you know this, Maureen, it's called What Do I Care Optical. Okay? I answer the phone, what do I care? And the people say, and the girls do, and everybody answers the phone. Everybody loves the name. What do I care optical? How fun is that? And they say, wow, do you care? And I said, no, I don't give a shit. Because everybody wants a deal in this industry. Have you found that everybody likes to cut a deal?
Yeah, definitely.
It's insane. No other industry in the world. Anywhere. You can't go to McDonald's. You can't go into your local restaurant. You can't go anywhere. Target, try them, anywhere. This is the only industry that I have ever seen that literally people will try and cut a deal everywhere they go. Oh, come on, let me give you $20 off. But it's very nice and easy to do. The only thing we cannot do as a liability, and I'm sure you know this, is I have to let the people go through the contacts. They have to get the contacts fitted. They have to get released by the doctor, and then I can sell them the contacts. So the main reason, I'm sorry?
I was going to say, I think that people in the eyewear industry want to cut a deal so much is because realistically it's something they need. Like they'll walk away without it, but then they still need to find glasses elsewhere. So I think it's like trying to soften the
blow.
Soften the blow, I suppose.
Yeah, no, it's bullshit. You know why? I love the theory. That's so positive, Maureen. That's why I like you. The reality is this: they know they can get away with it. You can walk into any optical store, and they're smaller, like the mom and pop shops. You become friends with these people. You become family. I mean, I've had customers, again, 35 years. I've had customers for 30 of those. Those are our people. Those are the people that keep me in business. Those are the people that we're gonna help. Sherpa wears glasses of mine. Dees wears glasses of mine. Everybody that I know is in my glasses, right? So we're not gonna. And the biggest key for me is, even in terms of my consumers that I don't know and my retailers, I'm not gouging them. I sleep well at night. We've been very blessed. I sleep very well at night. I know where my stuff is being made. There's no children making my stuff anywhere. There's no labor issues with my factories. There's no labor issues with my labs. So these people are going to ask me for a little bit of a deal here and there. Well, we'll give them that deal, every single one. Every once in a while we'll cut somebody a deal. And I feel good about it, because they keep coming back to you. I tell the only downside for me is I hand make a lot of stuff, again, which we'll get into. So it takes me a lot of time to sometimes make some of that stuff. So I'll get a lot of those bitchers. I'll get a lot of the people bitching about it, but they have every right to bitch about it. And the beauty of Anglo American for me, and this is God's honest truth, that they are so in tune with my brand that they will wait. Like I could pull out a folder right now where I have a guy waiting for 2 pairs of glasses since last July, and he has not canceled the order. And when I send him the glasses, he'll be ecstatic. But they just know. Sometimes I have back orders on plastic. Sometimes I have back orders on the frame itself. Sometimes lenses. A year. We're talking a year. That's some dedicated Anglo customers, and I appreciate every single one of them.
An approach of being sustainable as well, because you're not just creating glasses to exist. It's rather that someone makes a special order and then they get produced.
Correct. And it's, we call it just-in-time inventory, right? Again, not in trying to get into the logistics of the business, but I would rather have just-in-time inventory than be sitting on stock, because I know a lot of my friends at the bigger places are sitting on tons and tons of stuff that they'll just never move. And they've already paid for it, right? So, yes, it's nice to give it away and all that stuff. Say again. That's where you come in. Right? That's a good segue. But you have to pick through that stuff, and I'm sure there's certain things that you just won't buy. I mean, you can't take it all, right? So you're looking for the most unique. You're looking for the what you think is going to do best, you know. And I would assume, and correct me if I'm wrong, Maureen, you probably don't look for the most craziest colors because that stuff looks good on shelves, but it's a tough sell through. So I'm assuming you probably look at the more conservative colors, more conservative. But I bet you look at the funky styles with you probably have got a great eye for what you know can and cannot sell.
Yeah, I will say doing pop-ups has been great, like field research in terms of even if no one buys anything, I see what people are gravitating towards, what they pick up, what they're taking photos of, what no one looks at all.
Yeah.
That I thought was a great frame, you know. So it's taking my taste, but also consumer research and like putting the two together.
Sure.
I will say being in New York though, there's some eccentric people.
Oh yeah.
So sometimes you'd be surprised what people are going for. But you're right. It's more often than not people want a classic kind of
wearability.
style.
Yeah, they want right. They want wearability, you know, especially guys. You know, I don't care. I don't care where you're on this planet. Even the most eccentric guy, Sherpa was just, you know, making fun of me because I'm Metro, right? I'd get my eyebrows done and all that stuff. If we were another day, that I would not be having this beard today, right? This is just pure laziness. But the thing about New York for me is we had a store on Madison Avenue, 488 Madison Avenue. I partnered up with this guy called Trap Opticians, and we did all the frames and we did everything in that store for almost 24 years. He passed away. And when I was about to take that store over, our rent was $35,000 a month when he had it. It was less than 1,000 square feet. It was behind Rockville Center. Okay. And when I went to renegotiate the lease after they had done the building, they revamped the building. They wanted $62,000 a month. When we were fully operational, and again, we're talking less than 1,000 square feet with no doctor, right? As you just said, when you say eccentric, it was all the Europeans, everybody that was on vacation, all the tourists. They did not care what they spent. There were days I felt bad, you know, learning what we sold and how much we sold it for, because, you know, a Ray-Ban should not be going for $400. A Ray-Ban should not be going for $700, $900. It just shouldn't be. It shouldn't be doing that, you know. But they came to the States. They knew that our prices compared to what their exchange rates were, they had a better option to buy stuff here, and most of them did. They bought purses and clothes and all that kind of stuff, and eyewear was no different. We made a killing on those days. And now, shout out to my friends HL Purdy. They took the spot over, and I know they're killing it. They have like 3. You probably know Purdy. They have like 3 high-end stores in Manhattan.
So it is still there.
Yeah. They moved over a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, they moved. I think the address is still the same, but they revamped the building. So I think the store actually moved over, like, you know, 500 square feet from where we were.
Okay.
Yeah, it was 488. What's that?
Let's go to Anglo American.
Yes. So now I'm going to give you the floor. Sorry, I was going to segue in. Glad we got to know you a little bit, and again we'll plug you at the end. And the whole point of this was for you to interview me about Anglo American, and I'm happy to do it, and I look forward to it. But again, we had to tell the audience who you were first. You know what I'm saying? To make sure that they knew when they're going to get some retro specs, you're the young lady that they need to come see.
Thank you for the introduction.
You're quite welcome. So yes, you want to talk to me about Anglo? Fire away, young lady. Now I'm gonna pre-warn everybody. I'm trying not to drone on. Okay. And also, I'm going to be brutally honest. There is nothing that I will hold back or hide about how I have been with this company and started this company and owned this company for the last 35 years. So be prepared. Fire away, okay. Maureen. What would you like?
I wrote you a little intro, Al. Today's guest is someone whose work has shaped the face, quite literally, of eyewear history. Al, the owner of Anglo American Optical, a brand that has remained fiercely independent while designing some of the most recognizable frames in the game. From timeless acetate silhouettes to fantasy pieces worn by icons like Elton John, Their work has always straddled functionality and flair. I'm excited to dig into Anglo American's legacy, the evolution of frame making, and the stories behind some of your wildest designs. So, first things first, when Anglo American did start, how many eye companies were around?
There were three. There were three actual manufacturing companies in 1881 when Anglo was formed. It was us,
Wow.
it was ABO, and it was American Vision.
And are the other two still around?
They are not. How I survived is beyond me. This company has died 1,000 deaths. And I was just lucky enough to revive it after it was dead again for almost 6 years in New York when I got a call to come in and literally be, at the time, the independent national sales manager with another guy. So if you don't mind, I'm going to jump right into that aspect. Do you mind? Okay.
Go for it.
Give you a little background on me. So what happened was I was working with a company called On Vogue Eyewear. It was a family. And I wasn't family. It was a friend of mine who was working for this company, and she was best friends with the daughter of this family. I worked there for almost a year as their independent national sales manager also, selling frames over the phone. Never went into a store, never did anything. I hated them. I hated everything about them. I could not stand their son. He was the laziest son of a bitch I ever met. I'm a guy that's driven. I wake up every morning, I wake up and show up, okay? And this guy was just a con artist. He was terrible. And funny enough, years later, he was arrested for running a Ponzi scheme out of Pennsylvania. So anyway, so one day we get a call. He calls me up. I quit them. I'm with them a year or two, killing it, making a ton of money. And all of a sudden I say to him, I'm like, I'm done. I'm done. I had no ties to it. I was an independent contract. I was done. I turn around and he calls me up. He says, hey, this company Anglo American wants to reopen in New York City. I'm like, who's it going to be? He said, it's going to be me and you. I said, I'll have it within a year. He laughed at me. A year to the day, there was an ashtray we used to fight over. A year to the day, there was a note in the ashtray and it said, you won, Al. All right? Again, they call me AC. He turns around, and it was at that time, it was owned by the 7th and 8th richest men of London, England, Ian and Richard Livingston. That's who owned the company. They lived in the UK. To this was a toy. It was a game. Their friends owned a big chain. They were the Luxottica of Europe. It was called David Clulow. And these guys were contractors. They just wanted to compete with these guys, the Clulows. So what they did was they found an eyeglass company that was struggling or non-existent. And Anglo has such a big name over there that they decided to pick it up. So they call this guy. This guy brings me in. I start working for a year in this company in New York City. I walk into this building one day at 388 Madison Avenue, okay? And we're overlooking Grand Central Station. And I'm in an office 11 stories up in a shoebox, and it is full of boxes, cardboard boxes, right? Cobwebs all over the place, disgusting. I have terrible OCD. The office was filthy. I couldn't even imagine what I was doing in there. So for the first month, I picked through these frames, had no idea what they were. We're looking at 132s, 406s, 400s, Fontanas, Boogaloos, Quadras. I was looking at, my fingers were black from separating these frames, right? And that's where the journey began. And I found out that they had closed the office 5 years prior because the guys in New York were stealing from them, okay? They were stealing from the old company, not Richard and Ian Livingston. There's old owners that were in the UK. Which
designs or frames?
Frames. They were clear. They were saying they were stealing them, okay? They were stealing the frames. They weren't, the guy who was running the New York office was not paying the UK, okay? And at that time, we had a factory in the UK. So I'm believing this my entire existence at this time. There's a guy out there named Kevin Siebel, one of the nicest guys, God rest his soul, one of the nicest guys I ever met after the fact. I used to say to these guys, I walked into this office, and you sons of bitches, you guys were stealing everything. I couldn't sell a frame in our backyard in New York City because they were giving them away. It comes to find out that the UK was never paying them. So they were having to survive themselves by literally taking the frames for the last 6 months to a year of their existence to feed their families, to go out on the street and sell these frames out of the back of their trunks because these guys in the UK were not giving them their paychecks, which was the guys that Ian and Richard Livingston had shut it down, okay, and took it over when we came into the existence. I wasn't going to let that happen to me. And the problem was there was a company called Sir Winston, Anglo American by Sir Winston. If you ever come across those frames, I'm sure they're out there because he did thousands. Another very good friend of mine. His name was Ray Winston. And Ray Winston owned this company called Sir Winston, Anglo American by Sir Winston, out in California. He was the worst and probably will go down in history as one of the worst businessmen I have ever encountered. He was selling tens of thousands of frames and was never billing the accounts. So he couldn't pay the company. So the company was producing, and he wasn't paying the UK because he just was on the road selling frames and never going and doing statements. This lasted for about 5 years, and then it collapsed around him. Okay? Then they opened it again with these other guys, Kevin Siebel. So one day I'm at the New York Trade Show, which I'm sure you're very familiar with, the old trade show in the Javits Center, right? I was one of, if not the oldest. And again, any of these facts you can all look up. And you can even call Val from Reed Exhibition. I was one of the oldest manufacturers in that show. I left that show because you can't start telling me that you're going to charge me $30,000 for air and not give me anything. You wouldn't even plug in a fucking light bulb with that, right? Sorry, Mel. So we'll edit that F out. So I said enough's enough. I'm not going to get robbed from these people anymore. So I stopped doing the shows. But one of the last shows that I did, I finally went up to Kevin Siebold, who again worked for this company, right, before I took it over. And I said, Bud, it was ridiculous that you guys were thieves. And he says, no, AC, you got it all wrong. And he laid out the entire history of his tenure with the company. And I was remembering the books that I was seeing because I had the checkbooks. I had everything. Remember, I'm their independent national sales manager at that time, right? I couldn't believe that everything this guy told me, I realized why I was seeing the books the way they are. And I felt bad. And you want to know the worst thing about that, Mo? That day, on a Sunday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday was the New York show. It started Thursday, but nobody came Thursday, right? Friday, Saturday, Sunday. On Sunday, the last of the show, after we hugged it out, the man had a heart attack and died. Are you kidding me? We'll cut it and then we'll re-up her, okay?
Sounded like a good time. Man had a heart attack and died. All right, we'll be back.
We will. We'll be right back. How's that, Mo? Welcome back, everybody. Sorry about that. We love it. We love Zoom. We love technology, and that's how we found out that the story of how Anglo was really running itself. So I said to myself, I wasn't going to allow that to happen to us. Next question.
What were the early days like for you personally? Did you have eyewear experience before?
I only had that on Vogue for a little while. Like I said, I worked for them for about a year and a half, maybe 2 years. Not even, that's a lie. It was about a year and a half. So no, I had no eyewear experience.
Okay. And how important is craftsmanship, and do you think in the process today compared to when you began?
The beauty of it for us is it has not changed. Everything lies in the manufacturing of the Zyl, right? And a lot of people use the same Zyl nowadays, which makes it great. But then it becomes where the frames are made. When you do, there's a big difference between sheet stocking and molding and injection molding, right? So if you look at all the Chinese stuff, and I don't mean to call out the Chinese in particular, but there's a lot of stuff that is injection molded. It's not just Chinese. It's in the Philippines, it's Indonesia. There's a lot of places that they make it. And it's just it's not even about it's about the human factor in those places. I'm sorry to say, okay, and I'm not going to get into the politics of it, and I'm sure you don't want to. But at the end of the day, as I said before, I sleep very well at night. That I know children aren't making my frames. So it comes down to where the injection injection mold something, it's like a toothpaste, and it goes in, and so it's not there's a point in the frame that's not that durable, and that's why they break a lot of times. So it's about the zeil and the hinges. And for us, we have handmade frames. Literally have a guy cutting out frames and filing and putting in wood chip barrels. We've been doing it the same way. So we do handmades, and then when we take the handmades, once we know what we want, we put it into a printer. We put it into a 3D printer, if you will, and then we can start to get our CNC machines that can actually start to make the frames that we want in bulk, versus where I still have the ability. If somebody calls me and says, I want one frame made, I have the ability to make one frame. It costs a lot more. But at the end of the day, we can put their names on. We can do outside. We're one of the only manufacturers in the world that do it. I know there's others now that will, but we are one. We're the first ones that were doing it, and we were the ones that were doing it when nobody else wanted to.
And this is in the United States?
Both places, yes. I do it in I'm going to shout out the factories. I'm going to Mazzucchelli is our zeil manufacturers. You probably know Mazzucchelli. And then my English factory is called Premier Optical, and then my U.S. factory that we just partner with is LF Eyewear, and it's fantastic because I found him on a whim. We put in a ton of dough into helping in our cause along, and we are extremely proud of Anglo American Optical is now made in the UK and in the United States of America. I've been wanting that for a very long time. I went to a company called, which you probably know, State Optical. Do you remember them? I think they're still around, State Street or whatever they were called out of Chicago. And since I was in Chicago for 25 years, I tried with everything I had. They were like, well, we're too busy. I said, you know how big of a brand we are? I said, you really could jump on board with us. Well, they make less expensive stuff at the time. And they're like, well, we're too busy because it's easy to make $5 frames, and pump them out for $40, $30. With us, it's more expensive, so they didn't want to get involved. So it was I tried with them for a long time because I was in Chicago for 25 years with my store called What Do I Care Optical, and my other store in New York called AZYR Trap. And what happened was, they never wanted to do it. So I was glad, and all these years later, I was able to get it done in the U.S.
Yeah, that is very rare.
It's exciting.
How do you think? How have you seen the industry change since, like, the shifts to Luxottica?
How have the shifts changed since Luxottica? I'm sorry, I don't understand that question.
I guess what do you miss most about like the nostalgic eyewear, the industry when
The camaraderie.
it was more relationship based?
100% camaraderie. The easy answer. Camaraderie. Luxottica has made it. They're very, I won't say there's not many bomb and pop shops, because there are tons of them, and those people stand strong. But Luxottica has made it a Warby Parker. They have all those guys have just made it no different than building housing big contractors where every house looks the same. They have all distorted the uniqueness and the creativity within the eyewear industry. It's no different than the clothing industry. When something gets too big, it gets diluted, does it not? So they have taken apart the human element of the creativity, the designs, the things like that from the eyewear industry, and that's a sad part of it. The camaraderie, the people that you knew, the people that cared. These guys don't care. Do you think Calvin Klein has seen a frame in 30 years? Absolutely not. What they do is they pay them $20 million a year to use the name. That's all they do. And I'm going to tell you one quick thing about Anglo American. It was the best company I ever stole, because what happened was, all these years later, we were rocking and rolling. When that guy left me the ashtray, Richard and Ian were like, "Hey, you did a great job, AC," because I was by myself 3 years after that, and I was killing it. I had put reps on the road. We were an industry, and this is no joke. We were between $5 and $8 million. Okay, I had 14 people in an office. I moved up us 5 floors. They called me one day and said, we're going to take it back to the UK, because, again, I was controlling the checkbooks in the US. I was controlling everything in the US. So they said, we're going to take it back to the UK and we're going to start out of there. I called everybody in the UK, every single one of them. I said, take a piece of machinery, take it to your house. They're going to walk away. It wasn't enough for them. They were building palaces. They worked on where the Queen lives, right? Whatever it's called. I'm sorry, I forget what it's called over there, right? They were big boys, 7th and 8th richest men of London, England, at the time, under 35 years old. We were a toy to them. Okay, they were competing with their friends David Clulo, and I told them all, and half of them believed me, the other half didn't. And I kept every one of those people working. I incorporated the name here. I did everything I had built the website here, put the phone numbers here. They were telling me to send them boxes of frames back. I sent them a shoebox full, and I was sending me 6-foot boxes to Chicago because at the time I had met my ex-wife. So I was traveling back and forth, and then I took it all here, and I literally started the company back up under me by myself in the name Anglo American. As I tell everybody all these years later, it's the best company I ever stole.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't mean to end so abruptly. It's like a speech.
Well, you've been with Anglo American for how long now?
35 years.
35 years.
35 years.
So I'm sure that you, as we have learned, Anglo American has really like shaped the identity of eyewear. What do you consider the most iconic frame or era?
Okay, so easy in my time or in history. In my time, I'm gonna show you one of them. Is that okay? So this is what they call a P3. Sherpa, are we getting that on camera? Is that coming through? And if not, I'm sure Sherpa could plop one into our thing. Okay, I'm gonna put it on. So what happens with this is every guy that is out there in the professional world. This is called a 406, Anglo American 406, Japanese Havana. That's the color, right? I don't know why we never changed that name from Tokyo Tortoise, but it went to Japanese Havana. This frame here is worn, my frame, by everybody from Tom Brokaw to Tom Hanks to Johnny Depp to Al Franken. Every show, every movie, anytime you see this frame here, this shape, this is the most iconic piece any lawyer, judge, professor, and not even just that caliber of people. What I'm fortunate about now, Maureen, is that the young ones are wearing it. Sherpa across from me here wears one, okay? And he's a super young guy. I have my kid who's 20 years old wearing this frame because there was a time that I felt that the industry was feeling like this frame had done its time. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I refused to get rid of it. I refused before I took the company over for my own, okay, which I've always had it myself because I was running the show, but before I take it myself, right? Everybody was telling me to get rid of that frame. That's the only I could get rid of my entire line and make money just on that frame. Now, when we talk about frames like this, iconic, this is a frame here that we did for Elton John. Okay. I'm going to get into my fantasy frames for a quick second, if you don't mind. We used to have a line around the booth, a line. We used to do a Polaroid. This is how far back it goes. Again, when I'm talking 80s and 90s, right? I'm talking, not that long ago, but 80s was 50 years ago. So when you turn around and this frame here, we used to give this away. This cost me a fortune to make, but we used to make them. They were called fantasy frames. We did this one for Elton John, the Eiffel Tower. We also did this one for the Centennial of New York City.
And why would you give them away?
Because we would do like 30 pieces and we would do as a fantasy frame and people loved it. I have people that I can walk into their offices and they have the entire collection. I sadly don't have the entire collection. We made a pterodactyl that stood about 1.5 feet tall. It was unbelievable. Okay. This one here we did for Lance Armstrong. I mean, come on, it's a bicycle. It's an absolute bicycle. Again. I mean, who creates these things? So the guy that used to work with me, who's a designer named Lawrence Jenkins, again, I don't know if he's alive or dead. His brother I brought in as a partner. And then about 15 years ago, when our factory got too small, I decided to go find another factory in the UK. He decided to go to China and make frames. So we broke up. So that's why, unfortunately, Anglo American in the UK is no longer there. They're now making knockoff frames from China. And you can see it on certain places that refuse to listen to me. I have sent cease and desist letters to places out there, which we won't mention the names because this is your show. But at the end of the day, they refuse to because England wants to pretend that, I'm no longer with them. But Anglo American is me. So all these fancy frames, we made Harry Carey's glasses. If anybody remembers Harry Carey, hey, it's the Chicago Cubs. Everybody knows Harry Carey. And you know who used to wear these all the time? Will Ferrell on Saturday Night Live. You can look him up when he played Harry Carey.
Right.
Okay. Saturday Night Live used to come to 488 Madison and go into our inventory and just pull frames out like we were their prop people. All right. It was amazing. We've been very blessed to be in all the movies, but True Bloods, Tom Selleck wears our stuff. Johnny Depp wore it in The Rum Diaries. Harvey Keitel wore it in Bad Lieutenant. The original Superman, as I said before, Christopher Reeve in the Metropolitan Museum. So what I do, answer a little bit of that question again, I miss the history of, eyewear as eyewear people. There are people out there still making eyewear. There's a bunch of us that do it, but it doesn't have the same glitter and glam because Luxottica's bought up all the stores. They bought up all the labs, and now they are self-sufficient. They make the frames that they put in their own stores, and they do lenses for their own customers. It's kind of disgusting.
So then what's your take on how independent brands can still stand out today?
They can't. I'm sorry to tell you have to have a niche. You have to have boots on the ground. You have to be. They are constantly. Now they have to do exchanges all the time. It's got to be. I would not want to start a new brand, but if you go to the show, there's brands. I have been doing this for so long and these shows for so long. I have seen so many brands come and go. It's kind of sad. Everybody has a dream. They're Bon Jovi. They're getting off a bus with a guitar and a dream. And at the end of the day, there are so many manufacturers out there. There are so many, but where are they making their frames? They're all making them in China. A lot of them making them in China. Then there are the guys that lie. There's these companies out there that say they're being made somewhere, and they're not being made in those places. And the shows have started to crack down on that stuff because it was happening at the shows.
Yeah.
I feel.
Well, it's like, sorry, go.
Sorry, say that again.
I was gonna say it's like the watches, like made in Switzerland. You only have to have a certain amount.
Correct.
And made it actually in Switzerland, but you can stamp it on there.
Isn't that amazing? It's all deceit. It's just the way it's American greed. It's global greed. I don't even want to call it American greed because everybody's gotten greedy. It happens all the time. I will say one thing. Yes, my parts are made in Japan. I'm sure the screws that we get, we can call them Italian, but I've never sourced them all the way to the actual manufacturing of it. But I know where my plastic is made. I know where my frames are made, and I stand by the fact that we make our product in the States, in Italy, and anybody out there, if you're doing it, it's been my baby. That's why I refused and broke up with my ex-partner, because I was not going to allow him to lie to people. I built this brand on integrity. I built it on these customers come back, and they all know. Every single one of them can call my factory at any time. They can talk to anybody they want to talk to, because you only have your word, and you're only as good as your word. And one thing about me is that I'm not shy, and I'm not afraid to tell the truth, and I'm not afraid to get knocked over and pick back up and start again if I needed to.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just end abruptly waiting for your next question, love.
Well, I was gonna say with the pieces that when I was at an expo, I went to Mito in Milan in February. And sometimes some of the frames I'll get will need new nose pieces, or they're loose, they need new hinges. And it's been fun kind of like piecing these frames back together like a puzzle, where there's a German company who has these titanium nose pieces and these different gradient lenses, and they come from all over the world.
That's really cool that you are that you're a surgeon, and I mad props for that. You have created that niche for yourself. You're a little Anglo American. You have created that for yourself, and more power to you. You're not just stock barreling and rolling it. You're trying to find this stuff, and I'm gonna tell you, people are gonna appreciate that. I don't know. You said you've been in business. I'm sorry, 3 years.
3 years, yeah.
People got to love that about you. You're not compromising, and that's what they love about Anglo American. There's very few of us out there, Maureen, and more power to it. You need to stick with that, no matter what they're going to throw at you, because again, they're going to become customers. They're not going to be able to take your stuff in, or think it's this or think it's that, because of the fact that Luxottica and Safilo and all those guys are pushing everybody around. But you're going to have those independents. The beauty of your life is you're in New York. You're in the capital of it. There is 1,400 retail stores over there. Okay, you will find some stores that will continue to work with you, and just the way you are in terms of your personality and the energy that you give off. Good for you. Good for you. And that's me. People, I think, appreciate my bluntness. You know, when I get on the phone with Anglo American, I'll tell them the story. If there are people that will refuse to believe me, I had one guy. I'm going to give you one quick story. I had a guy that tried to do a chargeback because he called the English company. And they were like, "Oh, this guy don't work for St. And I called him. I said, "We're done with this shit." I called the lawyers. It's hard to do, you know. So anyway, it's hard to get somebody overseas to stop lying, right? So anyway, this guy he charges money back on American Express. I fought him. They gave me the money back. And then he tried again a different way. First, he said I didn't deliver it, which I delivered it. Then he tried to say I wasn't who I said I was. I sent him all the paperwork. I sent to American Express. Nobody beats American Express. I am built my company on the integrity of what I am, and I will tell anybody the truth, whether they like it or not. I will tell them the history of this company, of how I acquired it and how I work with it. I don't give a shit what the UK says. They said that my hardest thing about it is Anglo American eyewear in the UK still in business. They may be selling 5 frames a month, but at the end of the day, they have a website and all that stuff, and everything that they're selling is knockoffs. It's unbelievable.
They're separate now, Anglo American
Eyewear and Anglo American Optical. I am Anglo American Optical. Anglo American, I changed it to optical when I moved it all to here, but I had the name Anglo American Eyewear, and I need to differentiate myself between them and the knockoff stuff. Yes.
Okay.
There really is no. I have Anglo American Eyewear and Optical, but I use optical here. So.
Yeah, I do really quick want to go back to the fantasy frames because I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
Specifically, I when I found the vintage frame that I emailed you about, I had known the name Anglo American because I'm constantly on Pinterest looking at different frames, and I'm pretty sure that it was the Eiffel Tower one.
Yes.
That I saw, and then I clicked in, and all of these like whimsical frames started coming up.
Sure.
And so that is how I learned of Anglo American, and then the history, everything came after. But I wanted to know, I guess none of these were ever mass produced, but like, how would you balance the line between wearable and fantastical? Or do you think that line should like disappear?
The fantastical?
Yeah.
It has disappeared. I don't make them anymore. I will do them as fancy frames. I will do them at a cost, but I do not do them as a rule of thumb anymore. They take up way too much production. I'll give you a quick example. Again, you're looking at this frame, and the reason I put this frame up is because it's the most colorful. You have red, you have white, you have blue, you have a flag up here, you have gray, you have a laminate crystal back, you have 2 different temples. Everything about this frame takes a very long time to make. You can't mass produce this in a machine at this point. Maybe they can now. I'm sure the technology's gotten a lot better. But where we came from, it was literally produced by hand. So there was one guy in my factory in Newbury Mews that was specifically making handmaids every single day. And we used to stockpile them because nobody was buying them, right? So we didn't realize how whimsical they would be. Again, there are these frames out there that are going for thousands and thousands of dollars. If you can find a pterodactyl, which I found in a guy called Innovative Optique in Wisconsin, the guy wants 10 grand for the pterodactyl. I haven't seen another one out there. Yeah. And we did tons of them. We did whiskey glasses. We did raccoons. We have dolphins. Behind Sherpa over there is an entire collection of them. I know I'll pull out a couple for you because we had talked about it, but I have dolphins. I have possums. I have diamonds. I have whiskey glasses, which actually the demo lenses have a little tint of brown like your glasses. Okay. I think that's yellow or right off yellow or brown that you're wearing.
Yeah.
And in there, we cleared out little squares so you could see the goddamn ice cubes. You know, so yeah, they're not made anymore because they're not. They're commodities, which I'm excited for people to go out and trade and find and see, and they do them. But they're not worth making them anymore.
Like sneakerheads.
What's that?
It's like sneakerheads, kind of.
Correct. Even this one.
Those wear glasses.
Right. Even this one against my black shirt over here. Right. This is the lips from Mick Jagger. From Rolling Stones, you know. So at the end of the day, they're not feasible to make because they you can't, you know, it would cost me too much to make them and then to sell them. Right. And who's going to want? I'd rather than buy, you know, 40 Pantos P3s, the frame I showed you before, versus one fantasy frame that's going to sit on their shelf.
So glasses that were designed for Elton John, was that like a collaborative process, was it?
It was. Elton John, my designer, again, Lawrence Jenkins, his great-great-great-grandfather was the one that started this company. And his brother's the one that I took on, okay, as a partner. He was our designer. He worked with LaRoche. He worked with Morgenthau Fredericks. He worked with Selima, all those guys, okay? I mean, I love Selima. She makes great product. But with all due respect, you look at all their original stuff, that was all Anglo product. It was all Anglo designs, rounds, heavy set rounds, little rounds. And they'll all deny it. Oh, no, it's all bullshit because, again, we're the oldest manufacturer. I can't trademark a circle. Right, I can't trademark a square. So every one of those original frames that came out were all of Anglo descent. It's a look at half the line. I haven't seen Selima in a long time, but I'm sure she's still selling most of the rounds that we were doing. And more power to her. Morgenthau Fredericks does it. Saul Moscott does it. I mean, Saul Moscott, I used to sit with the father and the two sons that took it over, Kenny, and they built themselves a little empire. Look at the designs. I am flattered by that, And what they did is they went out and got it made cheaper because most of those guys in the beginning were having us do the handmaids to get the frame right. And then we were originally doing them, but they knew they couldn't resell. They could resell them, but it was expensive for them to buy from me to resell it, right? So what they do, they took it to their own factories.
So they would come to you originally to get the frame made.
Correct. Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then they would go elsewhere to.
They would go elsewhere to mass produce them. Absolutely. How could they not, right? At $200 to $300 per frame by us, you could go find it a lot cheaper when you went to the factories. Again, 30 years ago, 20 years ago, we were the shit because we were the only game in town doing it. Nobody would make you one frame. You couldn't go to a factory in Italy or China or anywhere and ask them to produce you 25 frames. They want 500. China now still wants 500 pieces in one style. So you got to make 500, one style, bunch of colors, 10 frames, but they want you to do 6 styles. The bill becomes $20,000. So for a startup guy, it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough.
I feel like this is all just confirming to me that vintage eyewear is a great route for me to go down.
I think I'm not playing with you, Maureen. You have got a niche, and you need to. As tough as it's going to be for you, you need to stick with it because you. And I get a lot of people that ask me for a lot of stuff. I'm going to turn them on to you, even as wholesalers. The retailers. I have over 5,000 accounts just in the U.S. I have, Christ, I can't even tell you how many consumers that I've done. And at the end of the day, people ask me all the time, and I will send them to you because there are people that I know that like the old Seville Rose stuff, the 14, 12 karat gold, that want the original John Lennon. Again, the Harry Potter stuff was my 400, right? It came from a prototype of my 400, a completely round frame. The John Lennon was a little metal round frame that we did 60 years ago, right?
Was that for the film?
I'm sorry?
Well, the John Lennon, can you tell that story?
Well, John Lennon, we designed a round frame. We only carry 2 metals in my line. I don't even make them anymore. We do the oval and we do a round. And in England, again, AAO Anglo American was a big name. Larry Lawrence got hooked up somehow with one of the guys that was looking for props, if you will, or frames. He started showing a couple of rounds, and one of the original rounds that I know that he had done, I don't know who manufactured, but I know Lawrence was one of the ones that designed those round frames for the guy. I mean, the man's almost 90 years old now, Frank Hernandez was a part of that whole deal. It's a testament. And then again, because we didn't do metals, we only did 2, but we never did them in our own factories. We had them in the Italian factories, and metals are tough to produce. We only, even nowadays with handmaids, I really stick to Zyl because Zyl's just easier. And when I say plastic and Zyl, there's a difference. Plastic is a compound that you can burn it. If you take it to lighter, it'll go on fire. When you deal with Zyl, it's a cotton-based material. It's soft. You can work with it. You can move it. It'll even open up on you. Then you can put it back in shape. But there's a big difference between a plastic frame and a Zyl frame. You can always feel the actual texture and the chemical composition of each individual frame.
Where does Optio lie in that spectrum between Zyl and plastic?
I would probably say right in the middle. Right in the middle. They're new technology that's been around for a bit. And again, they're all coming out with so many different things. It's impossible to keep up with it all. You know,
Yeah.
it's impossible. And you look at Warby Parker with their ads and show them how they sheet stock. It's, you know, and again, we're a creative bunch of these human race, right? Everybody's got to remember, as Sherpa loves, we're on a rock floating around, right? The ingenuity is and the project managers in these factories that produce the material, it's second to none, you know, from stainless steel to beta titanium to, you know, I mean, to Zyl to Optil. It's an amazing thing that happens with the industry. But I like to keep it simple. You look at Anglo American Optical's website, Anglo American Optical Ltd.com. That stands for Anglo American Optical Limited. Don't go anywhere else. My website is a mess, and I love it that way. I'm an old English eyewear company. When you go to my factory, there's shit on the floor. You know, there's paper on the floor. There's wood chips. There's shavings of plastic. That's the way my company and my life runs. I love it that way. You know, it just took me. I just upgraded this website maybe 5 years ago. You had to see the one beforehand. It was literally a hamster in a wheel. It was insane. But that's how my customers know me. You know, they know.
Yeah. Do you move a lot of glasses on your website?
Tons. Yeah. That's right now. My New York store is closed. My store in Chicago, we very rarely use since the pandemic. Everything, even the customers that are in Chicago and the local guys, they all know where to find me, and I do it all online with them. I do 90% of my.
Chicago's still there.
Yes. Mm-hmm. What do I care? Optical. It's we barely use it though. You know, it's there, but we barely use it. Just because I don't need to anymore. I don't need that brick and mortar anymore. That's just for me. It's an animal I did it for 27 years. You know, I'm happy to run it right out of my wholesaling operation, and sometimes I'll ship it direct out of the factory. You know, and what I do is I keep it different because I'll sell it through my retail store, okay, or I'll sell it direct to the consumer through the retail store. So I'm not really stepping on my retailer shoes. And also, if a customer calls me in the retail area, let's say it's somebody by you, Maureen, I'll say, where are you located? They'll say, well, we're in Lower Manhattan. I'll say, okay, go to this store, and they'll say, okay. I say, if you can't get it or somebody doesn't want to deal with it, because again, sometimes I have back orders, I'll say, call me back if they won't take care of you, and they'll call me back and we'll sell it to them through What Do I Care. I have no shame in that, you know.
So how do you sell a pair of glasses online? Is it because the people have tried the frame on before and they know that it's going to fit?
Sometimes. Or sometimes the new people to Anglo American, I will send them 4 frames. I'll build them for 2, keep the inventory straight. And my girls will put a piece of paper on the side, say we only build 2 frames. We have their credit card numbers, and we'll make it very clear to them, if you don't send it back within 30 days, we're going to bill them, you know. We've, knock on wood, we've never been beat. Never had anybody not send it back. People who want Anglo, know Anglo, and again, I appreciate every single one of them. They come back. And the new ones, I'll let them try them on. Won't do the Warby Parker, send them out 50 pieces. You know, I work with these people. I'm the one who talks to them. I'm the owner of this company, you know. It's my face that's out there. So I will send them 4 or 5 pieces, let them try them on, and then I'll say, we'll do lenses for you. If they do a second pair, we give them a little bit of a discount, you know.
That's smart.
We let these people, you know, I want to be comfortable, but I promise you this: when they put Anglo American on their face and they wear it for a little while, they never get rid of us. It's amazing. I have guys that are 80 and 90 years old, and every single time I'll hear them, this is the thing I hear all the time, Maureen. I got to tell you something, AC. I get so many compliments on these frames from these young girls. I love it. I love hearing every day. I hear it at least 3 times a day. You know, and then
so what is it about the frames, do you think,
classic,
that makes them
100% classic? They're classic, and they last forever. And I tell these people all the time, there's 2 things that happen in my world. First of all, they last way too long, okay? So I tell all these guys that you got to break them sooner, and they all laugh, right? But that being said, they know how long my back orders can be. So they will end up buying multiple pairs from me because they don't want to be caught with their pants down where they can't get my frame for 6 to 8 months. Even if they don't need them, I almost have hoarders about them, and I absolutely appreciate every single one of them. And that is no joke. Today I sent out 12 guys with 4 in each box, and I know only 2 of them are trying them on. The rest of them are like, oh my God, your factory's doing it in 2 weeks? Well, I'm going to have them. Some of these guys the frames are going to outlive them. And it's just a testament to what Anglo American has done, and I will never, ever compromise that.
It's good. It's a good way to be.
You have to.
Okay. I feel like we should wrap up soon. I have
Great.
1 or 2 more questions.
Fire away.
What do you think that young eyewear designers or collectors should understand about the golden era of frame making?
Quality. And take your time and care. Okay. The new designers out there, if there even are any, all right, I hope that they come up and they give a shit. Bring it back to giving a shit. Bring it back to trying to find the best shapes and sizes for the people that they deal with the most, right?
Mhm.
And by that, I mean if they're in an area of high fashion, if they're in an area of the working man, if they're in the area of, lower end, fit the people with the frames, right? Don't just try and push the money, push the product. Do not let people ever walk out feeling like they got had. Don't make them walk out regretting their decision in colors and sizes. If you're going to be a designer, and if you are a designer, design the shapes that are wearable for people. Design come up with the colors and the schemes that you know are sellable. And care, give a shit. That's all you got to do is give a shit. And what was the second part of that question?
The second question was going to be, what is the process of designing a frame?
Well, I don't know that there's a. I don't know that there's.
Comes first.
What's that?
Is it like a sketch that comes first?
Oh, of course, you have to sketch everything out, right? Everything needs to be sketched. Everything needs to be printed. Nowadays, we all have these 3D printers, and with the AI stuff and all that, it's amazing what they can do, right? But you need a design. But I'm going to tell you something, Maureen. That has gone a bit to the wayside, right? If you walk through the Galleria, how many new shapes are there? There really aren't more shapes. You can't reinvent the wheel. As I tell all young entrepreneurs, you can't reinvent the wheel. You can't reinvent the square. You can't reinvent the triangle, right? There are certain things that are just not going to fly. So what you want to do is you just want to be creative with the colors, the sizes, and how they look on the people, right? Because you can give me all these funky colors and all that stuff. Again, know your area. I don't think there's much going into the design anymore. When you look at these big companies, there's not a team of designers, in my opinion. This is AI generated, computer generated stuff that they're just punching out because, again, they want to maximize their dollars. We lose that human element with it. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope there's a bunch of young designers that you have tea with in the Lower East Side every year, every month, or every weekend, I hope there's a whole bunch of you. I hope there's ones that go to you to find what was out there back in the day. Like what you're wearing is a beautiful frame. There aren't that many of those around anymore. My 132 was that frame. It was a 58i. You didn't see it anymore because also the scripts have changed. If I put a -4 into that frame, my God, those people are going to be looking through a fishbowl. But the technology with lenses has gotten so much better that they can wear a beautiful frame like that and feel comfortable wearing it. So I don't know that there's designers. I wish there were more designers. But you know who the designers are nowadays? And I'm going to be straight up with you, Maureen. It's you. You're designing. You're bringing back what was there and refurbishing what needs to be taken apart and put back together. You're making old the new again. And with that, with companies like yourself, they will keep my 406, my Panto shaped frame in this world forever. And for that, I thank you. The new generation's going to see these frames because you're going to find these frames. You're going to find original stuff from me. Go look on eBay. You'll see frames from 40 years ago, 50 years ago with us. Guaranteed it's out there. You're going to see Savile Row frames from 70, 80 years ago. Right?
Oh my gosh, it's insane how much is out there.
That's insane. So you're the new designers. There's nobody sitting in Luxottica's headquarters designing frames. All they're doing is writing checks to Calvin Klein, to now Ray-Ban and Oakley and all, and you look at all that inventory. I'm sorry, call it what you will. You can't tell me a Ray-Ban looks like it did 20 years ago. You can't tell me the quality's there nowadays. Not even close. I'm sad Maui Jim sold out because Maui Jim was the shit. I'm hoping that I hope it doesn't decline because in my opinion, they're the best sunglasses on the market, made wise, right? But you look at all of them, Oakley's, Serengeti's, any of them. They are not what they used to be because corporate got their hands on them. So what it needs to happen is you need to bring it back to designers like you that want the retro stuff, will refurbish it, and the people that are in the higher ups in terms of designs, if they start companies, need to go to people like you to redesign the eyewear that you're finding out there that you're making new again.
Right. Yeah.
People,
And it's totally something that people resonate with. Like I swear when people find a pair of glasses that fits them correctly, I'm sure you experience this all the time, but they're a new person. They're
100%.
confident.
Yeah,
They feel like they
great.
can take anything on.
100%.
Yeah, it
It's
becomes
the
like
first thing. It's the first thing people look at. You know, well, grown adults anyway, right? Maybe not 14-year-old boys, right? But grown adults, first thing they look at is your face, okay?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you have to feel comfortable in them. How many people have been through stores? Not my store spent. We're called What Do I Care? Hours upon hours. We will not let a person walk out of there feeling like they don't feel good or look good in those frames. I don't care how long it takes. You know, I don't have this I'll take it back policy because they don't have to. They don't even have to feel that way. We'll spend 2 hours. My girls, and I don't say. I hate to say my girls. My team, right? My colleagues, because we're all together in this, right? I'm not the boss. I may pay the bills, but at the end of the day, I couldn't do what I do without them. I couldn't do this show without Sherpa. He knows that. Dees is off tonight, but I couldn't. He's my right hand in this. At the end of the day, whatever you do, it takes a team. And I don't, I hate to say my girls, but they all yell at me. Oh, we take too long. We're taking too long with these people. Every once in a while, like, good God, because we have one guy without an ear that comes into our shop all the time. He's been doing it for 20 years. But I make him feel good. He's got to know. I got to know when he walks out that he keeps coming back for one simple reason. Because we say, what do I care optical? But we do give a shit, and you should.
It's important.
It is.
Battery died.
Oh, okay. Are we done?
Done.
Okay. Wait, we didn't get to say goodbye?
You can't. You're gone.
Oh, I'm gone?
Yeah.
Wait, I could use your thing.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it was good. Can you not see? Can you hear me?
Yeah, she's good. She
I can
didn't
hear you. I
change.
can
Yeah,
hear you.
she can hear and see you.
Okay. Oh, you mean the camera's up, but the recording's still
Yeah,
fine.
yeah, yeah.
That's okay. It's complete nonsense. We know. Well, it was a pleasure speaking to you. Do you have anything else? It doesn't matter if I'm not on camera. You can be on camera. Do you have anything else you want to ask me, or are we good, love?
Is the designer still around? Is the person who made these fantastical frames still alive?
I don't think so. If he is, he's 90-something years old. I mean, seriously, I remember. I don't talk to them anymore.
Oh, that's right.
Unfortunately, I don't talk to them anymore. But I can't imagine he is. I'm going to tell you, Maureen, I can't imagine he is because he was 90 at the time where he was in his early 60s when I took it over. So he would have to be 90. He'd literally have to be 90-something years old. If he is, he's just very old. Very old.
Yeah.
He's very old.
Friends. Okay. Well, I think that answers about what I have in question right now.
Great. And I'd love to do this again with you. If you come up with some more stuff, I can do this anytime. I'm going to do a couple of plugs. Thank you for interviewing me. I appreciate it. I'm honored to give you my experience of eyeglasses and my history of Anglo American Optical. I really appreciate that you took the time and the interest to find out about my company and what we do a little bit. And that's Anglo American Optical, 800-753-9727, and AngloAmericanOpticalLTD.com. Come on in anytime, ask for AC, and he'll take care of you. And I want to again thank Maureen Ryza at AZYR Specs. How good was I? I did it without saying Mo once. I'm going to do it at the end, right? Now you can't see me, so it's good. We'd rather have her on camera, Sherpa. What do you need me on camera, right? I mean, come on, bud. I mean, it's ridiculous. Maureen Ryza at AZYR, AZYR Specs. Specs with an S. I'm sure I said with an S. We'll play that back later. But if I didn't, everybody, AZYR Specs, SPEC. And you can email her at info@AZYRSpecs.com. Set up an appointment. Go see what she has because I promise that you will not be disappointed. You can all see what she's wearing on camera. It's absolutely beautiful. It looks beautiful on her. And you can check out her website at www. I know nobody says that's what I'm going to say for the young people. Like my 10-year-old, she doesn't know how to do it. www.AZYRSpecs with an S, SPECS.com. Go check out everything that she does. I'm sure she's got great pricing. And if not, I always tell people you either buy a Ferrari or you buy a Hyundai. They'll both get you there. But do you want to get there? Do you want to get there in a little bit of style and with a little more reliable engine? Or do you want to take it to the shop every couple of months? Maureen, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
I'm so grateful to talk to you and to hear more about this. And I'm so thankful that I fell into the world of eyewear I did. And every single day I'm learning so much more and seeing so much more. And it's really an interesting world. There's really so many layers to it. And I'm hoping to change the way that people approach eyewear and educate people on all of this amazing history that exists about it and the stories and
again, companies and personalities like you are what keep us the history alive, you know. And it's great that you have that interest. I hope that you go and hook up with 2020 magazine, because they need to hear things from people like yourself, you know. Go to the shows, speak it loud, you know. Keep doing the trunk shows. You call them pop-ups, but I'm assuming they're really trunk shows, right? Maybe they're
I've now moved into more. I started with some flea markets, some New York Upper West Side flea markets, but now I'm doing more private events, and now I'm doing trunk shows.
Good for you. And you know, stores love that, and it builds your brand within the store. You know, in a trunk show, for those that don't know, and that's Sherpa. What happens is the rep, and she's not a rep, she's like me, she's an owner. But what happens is they bring in their product on a certain day, certain time, right? And all the customers that are coming through, they can get to show their product, and they can sell it right out of their bag, if you will. The customer will say, "Hey, I like this frame that Maureen has," and then she goes back to the office and has her staff ship it out to them. Or in her instance, it's probably, since you probably don't have backups of it, they probably sells it right out of the thing to the retailer, and the retailer sells it to the consumer. I'm assuming that's the way yours work, right? With us, it's a little different because I can stock things, right? I can stock the same frame, 16 different deep, and then so I can have somebody order it, and then we just get one from the thing. But what you do is you're finding one-off pieces, which is amazing. You know, it's an amazing task to be able to do that and sustain a business, which I hope you make millions. I hope one day I'm like, wow, you know, Sherpa, you think that Maureen's ever going to talk to us again? You know, she's out there on the you know, the queen of eyewear. I appreciate your time. We appreciate everything that you're doing within the industry. I look forward to future conversations. And you know, if you have any questions, you have any manufacturing, if you have any repairs you need, if you have any of that, I may not know a whole lot, but what I do know is eyewear. And the second thing that I know is business. So I am happy to give that knowledge out. And, you know, I'm really glad that you took the time to join us and find out a little bit about us.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
You got it. Have a great night. And with that, I'm going to say, Sherpa, right? It's a great show tonight. Look, I got music, finally. How do we fucking have a battery that dies? I love it. I love it. Thank you, Sherpa.
I have a question.
Yes, she has a question. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm going to be in Chicago. Well, this doesn't have to be in the podcast, but I'm going to be in Chicago. I'm doing a pop-up on July 20th.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any cases in your stores in Chicago that I could borrow?
Cases? You mean like stands?
Like display cases,
I took them all here.
Mm.
I can find you off air. I will find you a bunch of people. I have all that stuff. Like, I can find you. Too bad I didn't know you 5 years ago when I took it to Florida. I would have given you everything, stands, everything. I mean, I cleared most of it out. Yeah, there's literally a phone and a couple of frames in that building. And again, we barely use it. I like it that way, you know, because I have total control here, you know. Sorry, you can play the music on the list. Yes, anything you want to ask me like that, give me a call, and I'm glad to do it. Sherpa, you love playing the music out. We appreciate the 53 and a half.
We out.
And with that, I say AC out.
Complete Nonsense Podcast is brought to you today by Anglo American Optical, a 100-year-old manufacturer of high-end English eyewear, produced in the UK, distributed everywhere. Check them out for all your eyewear needs. Anglo American Optical, Ltd.com. Also, What Do I Care Optical, an online eyeglass retailer specializing in Maui Jim, Ray-Ban, Anglo American Optical, and many other brands. They offer the best lenses on the market. Check them out at whatdoicareoptical.com. And lastly, Blue Savage Tea, an up-and-coming apparel company that specializes in custom designs of high-quality clothing and apparel. If you can design it, you can imagine it, they can make it. Check them out, Blue Savage Tea, on Facebook, or email them any of your apparel needs. Blue Savage Tea, that's BLU, savagetea@gmail.com.